Hello, and welcome yet again to a wonderful session here at Campus Party. I'm happy to be introducing here Noor Bongers, who's an entrepreneur, change maker, soul doctor also called, and who generally comes in when darkness requires some light to be brought in. Noor Bongers, welcome to the stage. I heard that you will be sharing with us some insights on how to attain sovereignty and what is required for that, love, integrity. I'm very curious to be hearing about this. For the viewers, I already would like to invite you to look at the comments, and if you have any questions that you would like to ask her, at the end we'll have a Q&A. Please put them there. And for now, I'd like to fully give the stage to Noor. Take it off.
Thank you. Welcome in this time where difficulties are, extreme. Everything is connected with everything, and problems are connected with other problems. So, food with energy, with love, with integrity, with power and power games. So, what to do to make this world a great place to live? You see that people and government they try to control everything of our life as a solution, but then you have to think of everything, every aspect. So you have to, yeah, we know that already. And that's basically also an economy that's based on money and is money driven. And in my opinion, we don't want a money-driven society anymore. We want a love-driven society. And I mean, not love in the way of Hollywood love and great breasts and everything you can imagine, but a love that is based on who we are, what the world is like, and it's a driving force. And it's a driving force we have inside us, and we have that in society, and we can bring that in our company as well, in everything we do. So when there's a problem, you can either start to control every aspect, or you can travel to the source of the situation, and in that source you always find love, always a desire, a longing for love, uh, seeing what's really there, uh, notice what's going on, and how can you open up? How can you open up to give love space? And you know when you're doing that, you know when you open up for love or you restrict. And when you restrict, you feel it in your body that something is, yeah, you start to cover yourself up. Or you start to give mechanisms of self defense more space. Then you give love space. And to give love space, that's very scary. It's super scary, in fact, because then you're barely naked, um, in a good way, because people can see you and they can see who you are, and they can also see what's not good about you, or what you're not able to do, or when you're falling apart, or yeah. So if you want to give love space, it asks that you are really honest with yourself when you are holding back, or you put defense mechanisms, or you want to control the situation, or when you say, yeah, okay, I give breathing space for what's really there. And together with love, there's integrity. And integrity, uh, I would say, is love in action. So then you're transparent, you're honest, and what would the world be like when integrity is the key. And people show themselves when they do want to live in integrity and are not able to do it because they don't dare, or there's money involved, or there are many, many, many influences that you choose not to live in integrity and put your ego there, or put money there, or put power there, or all kinds of reasons to not do that and not give clear insight in yourself. But when we are changing from a money driven economy to an economy based on purpose and true value and value of people and our resources and earth, yeah, then you have to show up. You have to show up. What's the core of your business? And when you're doing your business, it relates to the core. Who are you? And who are you doing that business? So you can say, I have a sustainable business, and you have all kinds of parameters, the resources, you can everything put on balance, but still you can be an asshole. And when you're a true person and you put that in your business and that in your relations, then your business start to blossom. Then you attract people who understand who you are, who understand what you're doing. You can rely on each other because the source is clear. And that's based on love. And that's based on self-love. But then you can interact with each other and say, I want to aim this in this world. Yeah, and I want to aim that in this world. That's okay. But you have an understanding, you have a common ground. And that's the base for a trustworthy society and a trustworthy business. So that's basically it. So we have the source of situations and difficulties, facing difficulties, and that's love. That's the unconditional love we're all made of. And we have integrity, and together they give a sovereign attitude, sovereignty, which means you are basically reliable and not manipulated. So you stand your ground with everything that's there. So people ask me, how do I start with this? And how do you start? By standing your ground, by showing up, showing your fears, and showing where's your longing and desire, your own truth, and make it visible in all kinds of situations, even when your boss don't like it. Stand up, speak out, and point out where you think others are not acting out of love, are not acting out of integrity. It's difficult. Certainly when you are young people at the beginning of your career, it's really difficult because you act in a world that's not sovereign. You act in a world that's money driven, that's ego driven, that's power driven. So it takes courage to stand up. It takes courage. But hey, do it.
Yeah, that's a beautiful vision indeed of how we can better be in this world. So indeed, how to start? That's indeed also the question that came up to me. I can imagine that this approach, like really being yourself when you're already in an environment like a business, can lead to quite some conflict. It can be hard. It can be devastating. I read that you've worked with people and with businesses. How do you see that in practice? How can these change processes manifest themselves? How can you, in a constructive way, kind of pull other people into sovereignty with you as you make that step?
Yeah, it's difficult because it's everyone's choice by themselves, and
Yeah.
it's not me to judge. It's not me to judge other people, but I can be an invitation. And when I stand in my ground, when I act out of sovereignty, and I'm really clear about that, that's an invitation. That's an invitation for everyone. And then because I'm doing that, it gives permission to other people to do that too. And they think, whoa, there's somebody standing. Oh, I stand up too. And then you connect on heart connection. And still
Yeah.
you can have different interests or different different interests and different point of view. But
Yeah, you
sovereign
don't
is
need to align, of course, in sovereignty. That's,
no.
I guess, that's a characteristic of it, that we can have hard disagreements on what we value.
Yeah, yeah. But in sovereignty, I stand my ground, you stand your ground, but then we have a common ground on that. And if you
Hmm.
say, I like to do business in this way, and I said, no, I like to do it in this way, that's pretty fine. But I'm not manipulating you, and you are not manipulating me. And that's the key. That's the
Yeah.
key.
So if I understand correctly, then if you are in a business or if you start a business, it's important that with the people that are there, you find this common ground where the values overlap and where you can do the things you do with an integrity, like everybody can do that with integrity. Am I
Yeah.
correct in reading it that way?
Yeah, yeah. And my experience is that you make the ambition of the entrepreneurship really, 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 really high. So when I say I like to sell a dozen cars, yeah,
Hmm.
okay, then we can argue about the car and the market. But when I say I want a great place to live and I want to facilitate mobility, then you can make a car and I can make journeys by foot. But we know, but we know we create a great place to live. So if you start a process by asking people what is a great place to live, and they listen to their heart, everyone says that's a world based on love, in freedom, and integrity. Everyone comes up with that. So,
Yeah.
and if you're the second question, okay, we're going to start a business now. How does that business do 100% add value in a great place to live? Because we can do it. We are the ones who do this, who reboot the world. And that's not other people.
Hmm. So that's a good tool for thinking, indeed, to ask that question: what is a great place to live, rather
Yeah,
than how can we maximize stakeholder value, for example.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
often
But
where
in
businesses
in
start. Yeah.
in in creating a great place to live together, stakeholding value is very like one of the things. Money is one of the things, but not everything.
Yeah.
So when you create a context in building a great place to live together, stakeholding value, yeah, is is okay. But it's not the only thing.
Yeah. I can imagine that it can be quite hard, that if you're already in all these structures, power structures, connections of people who maybe do live according to rules that don't go towards a great place to live, but somehow go towards other values, that can be quite jarring to make that step, right? It can be a bit scary. Um, I'm wondering, because I guess you as well must have gone through that process at some point in your life to get to that honesty with yourself. Um, how how do you get there? Could you maybe give us a little bit of the journey there.
Yeah, I'm raised very well.
That is, of course, a great benefit.
I'm, I'm raised very well. So my mother always asked me, what does your heart say? And she teaches me to be radical, honest, where I misstepped. So where I put my ego up front or
Hmm.
took advantage of a situation not to show my heart. So she kept on inviting, but what's there? What's the honesty of your heart's consciousness, basically? And she dared me to practice that. So in every situation, I stood up and I said, no, no, I think this. And
Yeah.
then people start to tell me, no, Noor, the world is not like that. No, Noor, you cannot graduate. No, Noor, da, 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 da. And yeah, I could not do it differently. And I always had good friends and professional friends who supported me. And
Hmm.
they were really close to me. And they said to me, Noor, you have to be independent with your thinking. That's your greatest goal. Stay independent with your thinking. And that's an education on zich.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds indeed because I work in education to a degree, and it sounds like what you're describing here is maybe not something that just adults need to find out for themselves, but maybe also something we should talk about with our children in education. How to find that voice, how to
Yeah.
find that sovereignty and that independence, and how do you see a possible transition there in education? Could you maybe help me speculate a bit on what that could look like compared to what we have now with class-based teacher in front of class kind of systems?
Yeah. The system now is based on fitting in the existing economy.
Mm.
And when people have free ideas, it's immediately no, 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 you have to fit in the economy. And like our prime minister, who invites young people to find solutions for the 1.5 meter society. But that 1.5 meter society is then a given fact. So it's really to fit in. And that's a
Mm-hmm.
fake cooperation, I think, because you're not asking children to give their clear insights of how they see the world. And there were a few times when I was before class, and it was a primary school, and I did it for a bachelor degree. And I asked,
Mm-hmm.
what is a great place to live? And do you think our government is adding value to a great place to live? And they said, oh, no, no.
Oh, that's
But
not good.
nobody was ever had asked them that question. So
Mm-hmm.
that there was no trigger in independent thinking. They were just, yeah, we do school to have our place in this economy.
Yeah. So
And when
for
I
our
asked,
viewers, maybe indeed it's also then a reason to ask a question of something you take as a given now, like that we do live in an economy based on money, and
yeah,
we do go to school where this is the system we live in, or this is what we're expected to do when we are part of a business. But I
yeah,
was interrupting you, so please
yeah,
continue.
yeah, you have the, we are the influencers. So if we stand up, we create a great place to live at any moment.
Hmm.
I can stand up for that any moment, as long as
And then,
I
of,
think
yeah.
I make a difference. But it is in your reach. But those problems in the world are really globalization, devastation, pollution. It's everything is so big that young people think, yeah, what should I do? I cannot solve the problem. I'm meaningless unless I have the power to do that. And then you're lacking yourself of the great being you are. But to create a great place to live, it's always in my present moment, in my connection with you, and in
Yes.
how we started this thing, and how you give me comfort to be here. That's it.
Sounds a bit like what to go to a bit of philosophy. What Sartre also said in the sense that you cannot just delegate responsibility. If you see that there are devastations happening around the planet, you cannot just say, "Well, I cannot do anything. Other people need to solve it," and you say that is the wrong approach. That is not sovereignty. Is that
Now,
is that
sovereignty
right?
is really in the present moment.
Yes.
I pick my battles too. So devastation and hunger is not my subject. It's really, yeah, awful, but it's not what I do.
Hmm.
I do leadership. I have a personal approach. But in the work I do, I take care of people, of diversity, of
Hmm.
integrity, of good food. That's something I can do.
So you bring
To
your own building block to the great place to live,
Yeah,
together with others who may have a
I
different focus.
yeah, when I organize a meeting with a greater group of people, then
Hmm.
I can ask for the food. We ask a local young entrepreneur on a biological base. That's something I can do. And to
Hmm.
pronounce that and make that really visible, that that's the choice of value, and not
Yes.
bring fabric food into our meeting. So that's what I can do. But what I can do that 100%.
So that's because we use words like essence, love. Is that then that's a personal journey as well in trying to um, find that expertise or that particular aspect that you can contribute.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's a
I
personal
wonder.
journey, but you can manifest it in your business, and then you are a living invitation, and you are the source of that love and
Mhm.
sovereignty. But that has a great effect, like a stone in water that resonates. So that reaches people in their heart, because they have that too, love and sovereignty. They have that
Mhm.
desire to live like that too. So if you create a business based on those values and that's really pure, another person can say that's not my style, but he feels the resonance of love and integrity. So it is
Mhm.
an invitation always.
Yes, just by doing it, you are inviting other people to join you. Yeah,
Yeah, and stand up for it. So don't compromise. Don't compromise.
that's the
Never.
core.
Yeah, never. So if your boss don't like it, you say, I'm not going to compromise. It's good to have respect. If you want to choose for money, a money driven society, okay, I will do that not. We can still cooperate, but no, I'm not. Yeah, I have a different view.
Yes.
And in making that visible and say, okay, I still want to work here because I can learn this, or I can practice this, or I want to add value to this. Um, but in my next project, I want to act out of love and create something which is adding more value than only money driven. And then your boss can say, okay, well, that's something. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for standing up. Oh, perhaps we can think of something. Because everyone knows we have to change. And when you are young and you stand up and speak out in such an honest way, it is a breakthrough.
So maybe we should get over that threshold and just do it. don't
Yes.
don't hesitate, because indeed, either it will earn you respect, or you find that maybe you don't fit in there. That could also be a valid answer. Talking about standing up, I see that we do have some viewers still in the background who are listening in. So if you want to act with integrity, I would advise you to leave us a comment or a question or a suggestion, so we can delve into it in these final 5 minutes that we have. That would be very nice of you. But of course, I also still have we have plenty to talk about in any case. Um, So one of the things that may be more challenging is to stay sovereign in interaction with other people, and we already talked about this a bit in the sense of you just need to do it. Um, do you feel so? What's in it? What's in it for me to do that? What makes it worth getting over that threshold? What is the benefit I get out of acting out of this universal love rather than maybe take the easier path of going along with existing systems? Why should I do what you're advising here?
Yeah, you
For the
get.
for the criticism
Yeah.
among us, yeah.
Yeah, but you're acting out of your own source, so you're flexible to go everywhere. You're really self-confident. You attract people with the same attitude, and that's
Mhm.
really special because you have a network of all these independent thinkers, of all those powerful sources, and that will become your network during your career. And you can have different jobs or do different things, but you can see those people everywhere, and
Mhm.
you will recognize them immediately. You will see if people act out of love and integrity or are not. But when you are, you look at each other and say, "Oh, whoa, we're in this together." And that's
Yes.
you can have clubbing nights, or you have a project, or an entrepreneurship, or yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. And it sounds like the moment you would do this, you also start connecting with people with that same goal, indeed. That in a way you are driven towards a place that is better to live just because you are doing it and you're
yeah.
finding connections and maybe convincing your network to also live in that way. Um,
You
as
have never to convince anyone else. Don't do that, because then you are overacting. It's you are doing that, and that's the invitation. And
hmm,
because you are doing that 100%, it reflects the longing of anyone else, so they can stand up as well, and you can facilitate that. It's not a judgment who's awake and who's not awake. You see that there's a war on consciousness, and people say that, yeah,
yeah.
I'm conscious and you are still sleeping. But that's not the thing. That's really not the thing. Because then you go into dualism and separation, and we're in this together to create this great place to live.
All right. It's a very important note to add to this conversation,
Yeah,
indeed.
yeah,
That sovereignty is its own reward in a way, and
yes.
yeah, it shouldn't be a conversion therapy to sovereignty, because then it's also not sovereign anymore.
No,
it's
but suffering is a result, basically, of living in love and freedom, and do that
yes.
really, be really true to yourself in that.
Thank you so much for these wonderful insights. Definitely some points I will take home. Is there any way that people can follow up with you? Any communities that they can find you, or any services that you could provide to, for example, struggling organizations who really are now asking themselves, is it okay that we value in the amount of cars we produce every month? How can they, for what, and how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can. I will be happy to help. I will be happy to be in service for personal questions and for big, big society questions, because I work on both levels, on
Hmm.
macro and really, really personal, because they are connected. And people can reach me on my website, noorbongers.nl.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. I hope people will take a look. Thanks again for your sharing your insights on how universal law and integrity can bring us to a state of sovereignty. I think it's important to think about and also to consider how we can. We talked a bit about education, how we can facilitate that process of getting that sovereignty. Then wish you a good day. Thank you.
Ja, dankjewel Ivar.
Graag gedaan.